What's going on, you guys? I want to talk about something that's been going through my head recently, and that is the way I kind of view traditional bodybuilding, at least to me, is kind of dead. Now, when I say bodybuilding, I'm not talking about the sport of bodybuilding. I'm talking about what most people do when they go to the gym and get some results from resistance training. I mean, like, muscle definition, building lean body mass, defining your muscles, however you want to define that. And I know even that term, most people don't even want to consider themselves a bodybuilder, but my point is, if you're going to the gym or you're doing some resistance training inside or outside of the gym, and you're trying to build your body in a certain way that looks aesthetically pleasing, I would kind of consider that bodybuilding. What I've been discovering over these last few years, working out at home, training predominantly on a total gym or sliding bench trainer, I'd say almost pretty much exclusively, is that the old way of kind of training using weights and machines is kind of dead for that means to an end of, like I said, building lean body mass, at least in my eyes. So for at least me personally, even though I've been messing around with a bunch of different types of resistance training and fitness related modes, I still consider myself kind of a bodybuilder looking at it from those lenses. And I've been kind of discovering over these last 3 years, working out at home, training predominantly pretty much exclusively with a total gym or sliding bench trainer, that old way of training of using weights and machines and just going to the gym is kind of somewhat dead in my eyes. And I almost feel like it kind of needs a whole other term to what I'm trying to do here outside of the gym. So what I'm kind of talking about, I'm pretty much gonna be dubbing new wave bodybuilding, or you could say like neo bodybuilding. And I don't know if that's the best word for it. I'm a product of the 80s, so maybe that's why it's in my head. And I know I'm not the only one who's really kind of discovered this, but I just haven't heard anyone really articulate what I'm about to get into here. So in this video, I just kind of want to define what I think this term new wave bodybuilding means, and I want to discuss why I think it's actually a superior way compared to the old school classical way, again, at least the way I was looking at it, to achieve results using resistance training. As always, please consider liking and or subscribing, sharing this content. I'll put links in the description box and some timestamps down below if you guys do want to check that out. All right, so jumping right into it, I want to explain why I think this actually deserves a little bit of a different distinction compared to basic traditional bodybuilding. First and foremost, what I think really separates this new wave bodybuilding concepts really boils down to the equipment that's being used. Whenever someone thinks about bodybuilding or muscle hypertrophy and just kind of building your muscles or defining your muscles, most people immediately kind of gravitate in their minds to free weights, machines, squat racks, barbells, and I'd even say kind of like traditional cardiovascular programming as well to an extent. The way I've been kind of approaching bodybuilding, not even just recently, over the last few years, I think is another approach to that same kind of goal. But instead of using weights and, again, traditional manipulation of other exercise variables like reps, sets, increasing intensity through added extra actual physical weight. And so when you find yourself stripping away the gym or free weights and machines and stuff like that, this kind of new bodybuilding conceptual approach essentially uses any means necessary at your disposal. So things like progressive calisthenics, body weights, resistance bands, certainly the total gym or a sliding bench trainer to increase stress or tension on your muscles. All these things are unique ways outside of just using the basic traditional means of free weights to still get these same desired, and if not better, results than you were getting before. And I'm not saying this is really anything totally new. I think the origins of this have been kind of building up for a period of time, certainly in certain communities. Again, I'm thinking about like the progressive calisthenic community, where you have these videos and people talking about how they're getting bodybuilding-like results or gym-like results, but not using a gym. And so this community has essentially shown that you actually can build your body, but what does kind of change a little bit when you kind of think of like classical approaches to calisthenics is that they do manipulate and kind of change up the variables a little bit, like exercises, reps and sets, unique ways to kind of stress and tense the muscles so that the body does grow. And there's whole channels dedicated to like resistance band training. We're making the exact same point, that they're getting the same kind of results they're getting with traditional free weights, but using resistance bands. And I'd even say groups like CrossFit were kind of doing this. I don't think people really want to align themselves with bodybuilders if you're doing CrossFit, but no one's going to deny the fact that a lot of people were kind of getting into CrossFit or were kind of intrigued by that and that training methods by seeing the results they were producing and the figures they were producing in these athletes. And I believe what I'm trying to do here with this channel is the start or evolution of another community of people using these sliding bench trainers to build and shape your body in an otherwise unconventional manner. Other thing that I think separates this new way of bodybuilding approach really comes down to functionality as well. In the past, the stereotypical bodybuilders, I'm not saying this is really a fair statement or it's even really true, but the stereotypical argument or perception of a bodybuilder was just someone who purely cares about aesthetics, doesn't care about form or function or flexibility, and just kind of this like bulky, bound up, inflexible person that didn't have a whole lot of purpose outside of just building their muscles. Versus, again, when you start comparing it to groups like calisthenics or even like CrossFit or people that use resistance bands, you start hearing the idea in the case that, not only do they feel like they're building their muscles, but they also just feel like they're a little more functional, they're more flexible, they feel kind of less aches and pains, and they feel like they are getting all the benefits of resistance training aesthetically, but also they're getting strength, flexibility, and just overall more functioning quality of their lives. The other thing I think that separates a lot of these communities to the traditional bodybuilding communities is in the way that we are essentially manipulating and breaking traditional training rules. And what I found using a sliding bench trainer for all this time is that my training has continued to evolve and become even more intuitive and instinctual than I was before. And that's how a lot of my training would be. I'd like to kind of blend and incorporate a lot of different types of modalities and things, but that's probably why I gravitated so much to these machines in the first place. It allows me to kind of connect more with the machine, ignoring these previous quote unquote gym rules, like doing certain exercises first or combining certain body parts together. Pretty much every variable from reps, sets, rest, exercise order, and even frequency, even intensity to extent, have all been altered since using these machines. And I think this is the same case when you talk to anyone else who's using something else other than a total gym to kind of get these results. You're starting to see people, especially on YouTube, from all walks of life, using all different types of modes, essentially build the exact same kind of classical physique that most people thought it was only attainable going to the gym and using free weights. Now, getting into why I think, at least for me personally, this is more superior to the classical way I used to approach going to the gym. I'm not saying this is gonna work for everybody, and I'm certainly not saying that bodybuilders having a fully furnished gym with all sorts of equipment are really at a loss. Certainly an obvious argument people would say is like, well, you're just kind of creating the gym experience without using the actual gym, and this is just kind of like your preference. And I almost would kind of agree with that to a certain extent. However, I've said many times in this channel as an example that if you gave me a fully furnished gym in my house, or if I went to the house and I saw a sliding bench trainer in that facility, 9 times out of 10, I probably wouldn't even touch the other equipment. I'd just be spending most of my time on that sliding bench trainer. And honestly, why I find this new way of bodybuilding more superior to what I was doing is because I'm able to do what I used to do in the gym, but actually better. I found with the nature of this machine that I can really fine tune certain exercises to really dial down the desired tension I'm looking for, whereas at the gym, some machines be really fixed, and yeah, there might be some pieces that I really, really like. The point is I can find, regardless of body part, some position or some exercise that really works for me. And a very brief but very important point that I've noticed throughout the time is that I get much less sore and I can do a little bit more frequency on these machines compared to when I was going to the gym. For whatever reason, if I do a really hard, intense kind of weight training workout, I just start to feel a little bit more in my tendons and ligaments and my joints. Never really suffered any injury or anything kind of debilitative, but I noticed my body would need a little more rest. Conversely, I find I can do a lot of work, a lot of volume in these machines, and I feel pretty good, and I can kind of keep coming back to the machine. And not only that, I'm seeing similar, if not better, results using this equipment. So I'm still kind of fielding questions of people asking, like, am I using my free weights, my power blocks, and my weight bench and stuff here? Even though I try to almost force this stuff in, I really just don't use it. Not because I don't want to, because I really almost want to use this stuff because I have it. It's just the total gym just feels so much better. So I'm not gonna like just do something for the sake of just doing it if I feel like it's not really benefiting me, and if I feel like I'm getting better results and I just enjoy using the other equipment anyways. And I could just say so much more that will just sound like another rehash of previous videos, and I'm sure I'll keep doing this to keep driving this kind of movement home. But to kind of sum up a lot of stuff briefly, I just find this machine is super convenient. So that's an obvious statement. I get a wide staple, almost too many exercises that I feel like are an equivalent, but also better to the gym, like I said before. With all those 2 points being said, it's incredibly efficient and time efficient to get in workouts, but also if I want to do longer workouts, I get more work done. This machine, at least to me, this is a personal preference, I find incredibly fun, so I never really get bored of doing it. And a huge thing that I love that you guys have kind of noticed, and this isn't just specific to a total gym or sliding bench trainer, but I can actually work out outside. In the past, I would love to kind of create my own little muscle beach of doing like resistance training outdoors, but in the past, you kind of feel like, well, I'm not gonna bring all these weights out. It'd be great if there was a gym outside, and now it's pretty easy to kind of replicate that in my backyard if I want to. And I could keep going on and on. I just want to introduce this concept that I'm sure I'll talk about in the future. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this, but this is something I really had to pump the brakes on in this video. I could have gone on forever, but I think I just want to introduce this idea that's kind of going through my head. Again, it's a new way, a new approach of getting lean body mass, building your muscles without conventional means of free weights, resistance training machines, and do so out of the comfort of your home and also making it more enjoyable. So that's it, guys. Any questions, comments, feedback, like I said, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.